What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to Veve Vibes, where I love talking all things Veve NFTs, speculation, and of course the market. So today I wanted to talk about the Master Collector program and kind of my opinions on it. Now, I'll be honest, most content creators that I've listened to on Veve, I would say overwhelming amount of them, except for maybe one or two that I know personally, are just extremely optimistic about the Master Collector program. They think it's probably one of the best things ever. And don't get me wrong, I do think in the long run, Master Collector program is a great thing. But I think right now in the moment, personally, I'm just holding off on it. That's for a variety of reasons. I actually have all three of the different iterations of the Master Collector program, and we're going to compare and contrast them very briefly. To be honest, this is my second take, and I spent like the first 10 minutes just talking about like the Master Collector changes and not so much like the reasons why I'm kind of holding off on it. So I'm going to change it up here a bit. But again, this is not I'm not trying to spread FUD or anything like that. I just want to kind of give my ideas, and that I'm looking at the Master Collector program critically. I want more information, and before I heavily invest into something like the Master Collector program, which is mostly chance based, especially if we're talking about the drop raffles and other things like that, it's just chance based, right? So I'd rather invest in things that are going to be more than likely not like sure things, but I'd rather invest a good portion of my gems into grails, blue chips, things that could flip relatively easy, things like that, rather than investing in things that are just going to give me points that are going to expire after 6 months, and I can maybe win a raffle drop. And if I don't win, I get 90% back, but just so do whales. And there's probably going to be some whales on the platform that can earn more points in a week than you probably could in a month, you know, or even like 2 months, whatever it is. Like, there's definitely some whales out there. And can you win multiple times in drop raffles? So these are all questions I have, and that's why I'm kind of personally holding off on it for right now, because I don't know, Veve's made some changes recently that, let's say, that haven't been the most user-friendly, which is why I'm a bit hesitant to really invest in the Master Collector program. Because as of right now, I would say about 75% of my vault is reserved for things I'm probably not going to sell, or I might flip if I feel like it's really hit a high point and it might dive down, or if I just see something else better. But that 75% of my vault is pretty much locked up, and I have 25% that I'm just kind of playing around. I'm doing a lot of flipping. Then once I hit a certain threshold, I actually buy a blue chip or a grail or whatever I think is going to do well in the future. That goes into 75%, and I just keep flipping again. So part of me does want to put maybe 5 or 10% of my vault value just strictly towards Master Collector program and just accumulate points. But again, until I see the specifics, I'm not going to invest. And yeah, will this put me behind the ball when they do announce it and nothing really changes, and you know, the prices of rare comics are going to skyrocket, because that is the best Master Collector point per gem like items you can get on the platform right now? Maybe, but I'd rather do that than I would just really hate for myself, including a lot of people, to really stack a bunch of rare comics, stack a bunch of uncommon comics, stack more Macornos or stamps or whatever it is, and the next thing you know, the next iteration of Master Collector program is completely different, and the point system is completely changed around. Maybe it's more focused on individual collectibles. Maybe it's more focused on ultra rare comics. Maybe common comics are worth 1 point up until 5 points, and now it starts getting hit with that quarter of a point thing. So maybe stacking commons is better. So I don't think Veve is going to reduce the points of anything that currently exists. I would say the more going to increase the points of other things, and now the things that you've collected are just less optimized. Is it like a waste? Not really, but I'd rather just try to optimize my gems. Like, if I'm going to invest gems into a chance-based Master Collector point system in general, especially like drop raffles and stuff, I'd rather optimize it as much as I can. So we'll go ahead and jump into it. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things I like about Master Collector program, but there's some things that I just want more information on. So first off, it was kind of hard to find the Master Collector program, like the very first iteration on here. So I actually had to end up going to Reddit, which then directed me to here. So it talked about all this. It seems like the first iteration was heavily focused on completing sets. You did get points. You know, the one-off points thing hasn't really changed at all. They did increase the points for a lot of different things, including sets, as well as like rarity points. These rarity points were just so low at first, like, and they actually applied these rarity points the exact same way for collectibles and comics. So comics didn't get a lot of love here. Not only that, sub 150 mints were the only way you could kind of get like a low edition bonus. They end up changing that later. But yeah, there's probably quite a few people that went out of their way to go out of their way to complete sets, right? Because that's where the most the gems were, not gems, but most of the points were. People might have gone out of the way to buy sub 150 mint stuff, paying a super premium. People were probably going out of the way to buy secret rares of comics to, again, get that set bonus. So people paying a lot of money to complete these sets until an iteration came out. So this is a revision that they did literally like a month later. So this one was October 18th. So yeah, like 3 weeks later. They did a revision, basically making comics more appealing, giving more points out for sets, making what's it called? Secret rares are now worth 5 points instead of half a point, which is a good change. Low mint bonus is now 5% instead of the bottom like 150 gems or whatever. Or bottom 150 mints for the most part, and point limitations and some other stuff. So again, they're making some pretty heavy changes, and it's mostly around comics, and this is the most current system that exists, so the one-off points and all that stuff is the same. But it seems like each time they've made some changes, mostly centered around comics. They added some new features as well for like the Master Collector program. The comic daily bonuses have also changed quite a bit. Like the previous iteration, it was all about stacking, I would say, uncommons and potentially sets, but now that the new iteration came out, now it's all about stacking one rare of each comic and then stacking a bunch of uncommons. So I actually have Veve set list pulled up right here. It's a site that I use to just see what's the best Master Collector program like per point. As of right now, it's usually the newer comics, so like Miss Marvel, which is the first appearance of Mystique, Uncanny X-Men number 96. There's Deadpool number 1, which is the first appearance of Blind Owl. So usually it's the newer comics that are of the rare variety that give you the best Master Collector points, you know, per gem. And then Lunar New Year is pretty low, but as you can see, the Master Collector points per gem starts accelerating pretty quickly for the collectibles. Like Lunar New Year stamps are actually pretty competitive with the comics, but after that it starts immediately jumping up to 20 gems, 25 gems, 30 gems. And honestly, you're just better off buying one rare of each of these and then just stacking uncommons, or maybe even a Vote Loki. Vote Loki apparently is super, super inexpensive, and stacking some of these uncommons. Like, that's the best thing to do if all you literally care about is the Master Collector program. Now, I will say, maybe getting the collectibles might do better for you in the long run, because essentially you are collecting quote-unquote trash tier comics in order to get the Master Collector point, which is one of the first things I would say. Like, the Master Collector program, I think, is innately designed for people to buy just trash tier collectibles, right? Because if all of a sudden you become in the bottom 5 comics, now you become desired because people want to buy you for the Master Collector program. And I do think comics are going to be continually fighting for that bottom spot, essentially, which could raise the price. So I just think that part's going to be super interesting, but I just think like the comics are just going to get artificially propped up price-wise by the Master Collector program right now. And especially if they make a change where all of a sudden now getting ultra rares or maybe stacking commons up to 5 points now gives you a bonus, and then you get something else. Who knows what they could actually do? So that's kind of what I'm saying in the grand scheme of things. I would hate for myself or other people to spend, and I really hope people aren't doing this just yet, but spending a ton of gems, you know, spending half their vault value, even more, on Master Collector points, just hoping they can win, right? You know, buying a ton of rares, buying a ton of uncommon comics, buying some of the low-end collectibles and all that stuff, and then before you know it, now the new iteration looks something, I would say unrecognizable. It's very different. Like I said, maybe collecting certain comics or sets is just worth infinitely more points, and people like myself are always going to find a way to optimize it as much as possible and get the most points out of their gems as they can. It's not like the investments that you made was completely worthless or anything like that, but yeah. So going down, it talks about earning points, retroactive points. So I'm kind of curious, like, are the points retroactive based on what they looked like? So does that mean for the first 2 months, are you going to be getting points based on this system, or is it all based on this system? Which is another reason why, like I said, people that are stacking rares right now, like, yeah, you'll get 2 points, but like, what if they change the system where now stacking commons is actually worth more? Because like I said, maybe the first 5 are worth a point each, and then all of a sudden it changes to 0.25 after after you have 5 commons stacked, or whatever it is. So there's a lot of things they can change there. Point limitations, still not entirely sure about all that, but I really wanted to scroll down here to some of the rewards, because some of the rewards are cool for the most part, but I'm just not sure if it's really worth like going out of my way to spend a ton of gems on the Master Collector program. And again, I will say, like, if you do go out of your way to spend at least some gems towards Master Collector program or stacking rare comics, you'll probably still be ahead of a lot of people. But in the grand scheme of things, like the whole drop raffle system, it talks about how a percentage of editions of each rarity will be made available for the raffle. Users can participate in the drop raffle by using their points to purchase drop raffle tickets. The more tickets a collector has relative to the drop raffle participants, the greater chance they have of success. So the interesting thing is, can you win more than once? That doesn't sound like the case, but if you don't win, you get 90% of your tickets back. So even if a whale doesn't win, they get a lot of their tickets back. for the most part. It just seems too chance based. And what percentage? Are we talking about 1%? Are we talking 5%, 10%? Because all those things are very, very relevant, right? And if you can only win once with all the points that you give or that you put in, and on top of that, they reserve, let's say 10% of the mints, like you actually have quite a few people potentially winning in that, right? If they reserve, like, let's say 10% of all the mints for this drop raffle system, and you can only win once. But if you can win multiple times and it's only like maybe 1, 2, 5%, something like that, now all of a sudden it seems like the whales are going to be winning a lot more often. Master Collector Points talks about how it works. Accessories are kind of cool. Non-licensed high edition items allowing collectors to trick out their showrooms. Like, that's pretty cool. Okay, so premium market listings. I actually see like no value in this. I don't want to say no value. To be honest, I used to sell online ads. You know, I used to try and get businesses at the top of the listings and all that stuff, and it does work in that sense to a certain degree. But we're talking like Veve NFTs. When people go on Veve to buy a certain NFT, they're either looking to buy floor price, if they already have that NFT in mind. They're looking to buy either floor price or a very, very specific mint/low mint. And if you put up your market listing of a Black Panther that is a 980, you know, okay, cool, it's a sub 4 mint. You know, it's a 3 mint Black Panther, but what people are more than likely going to do is just click on it and be like, okay, cool, so it's Black Panther, that's 980, whatever it is. All right, what's the floor price? Oh, wow, this is really overpriced. Why are you asking for 15, 20% over floor price? I'm just going to buy the floor. Or someone's going to say, okay, cool, like I see one for 980, but wait, there's one that's 960 that's actually a lower mint than yours and it's cheaper. I'm just going to buy that instead. Like, basically, it's for... I just don't think premium listings are going to work as well as people think. If anything, I think people are just going to use it to flex for the fact that they got a 420 mint of this, a 69 mint of that, or maybe a very specific mint of a collectible that is very sought after for a certain NFT or an IP or whatever it is. Kind of like having, you know, a 33 mint, like a 133 mint, having a 33 mint of something Disney or whatever it is. So I just don't see premium market listings doing a whole lot. I think people are just going to click on it, see it, and they're going to look at the floor and or surrounding mint numbers if you're trying to sell like a low mint. I just don't see it doing that much. It's almost like, I was going to show an example on my phone, but it's not hooked up right now. But I kind of hope that just drives the point home. Like premium listings, and they said that they're only going to have so many premium listings per collectible, so it's not overrun. So maybe you open up the market page, you see some premium listings at the top. People are just going to scroll by it. Like everyone knows that those listings are probably just going to be overpriced, to be quite honest, and there's already search features to help you find low mints anyway, so why bother with that? So like, I know the premium listings are an interesting feature. I just don't think it's going to be a whole lot. It's not a huge selling point in my opinion. MCP Pro, that kind of talks about you get a small percentage bonus on all points earned. You get badges, profile badge, display rarity and edition in the showroom, auto bid feature. So this is actually something I'm interested in. I'm more interested in things that are going to help me maneuver in the market. So auto bid feature for market auctions, I'm kind of curious how that actually plays out. I would love to see them. I brought it up to in my last few streams, just like a buy feature. What's it called? Buy orders. Because right now we can only put up sell orders and we have no idea where the floor is, but maybe they could add that as an MCP Pro feature. Hopefully it's just a feature they just add to the market. You don't have to pay for it to be a certain level MCP, but I would love to just have them actually have a buy order feature, so now I can just set up a buy order for an NFT that once a big IP announcement is dropped, instead of just continual undercutting, people could just sell it to my buy order and I get it instantly. Access to exclusive content, so accessories and collectibles. I assume this just means like, hey, you can get accessories and collectibles. This is exclusive content. So are there going to be exclusive collectibles that only Master Collector Pros can get? Or is this just playing into the fact that like, oh, by the way, you get free tickets for the drop raffle and that's kind of exclusive in a way? I don't know. Burn collectibles for points. If you're burning collectibles for points, I have no idea how they would dictate it. Is it based on the mint number? Is it based on the rarity? Is it based on how many total collectibles there are for that thing? Because burning a collectible that only has literally 1,000 mints total versus burning a collectible that has 50,000 mints is wildly different. And that reward better be amazing, in my opinion. Like, if you're burning a collectible straight up, you better be getting... those points better be worth something. You know, you better be getting something really good in it. Free drop raffle tickets per month. That's cool. Renting collectibles, extended AR features. So again, I do think overall it's great, but I just do see a lot of people spending a lot of gems or saying, oh, I went out of my way to buy a sub 5% mint of this, or I'm stacking rare comics, which is great, but a lot of them are, you know, probably trash tier comics that not a lot of people want. That's just getting artificially propped up by the Master Collector program. A lot of these features, like it seems like the main selling points, quite honestly, in this whole like Master Collector, especially the Pro thing, is renting collectibles and the drop raffles. And, you know, earning more points, but that just helps you, you know, get more points for drop raffles stuff. This whole like pro badges and showrooms and all that stuff, like that's cool for flexing and all that. I think that's more of a, and this kind of exclusive content thing is pretty interesting. Burning collectibles for points, I have no idea how that would work. As of right now, like the point system, the way it's set up, it's not worth burning collectibles for the things or the benefits that they're giving for us right now. It's also going to really depend on the drop raffle tickets. How many points does it cost? Can you win multiple times? What percentage of the drop are they sectioning away? For the drop raffle, are you going to get exclusive NFTs that only Master Collector Pros can get? So this is why I just have a ton of questions. So until I have all the information, I'm not going to heavily invest into the Master Collector program, even though I might be a little bit behind when they do finally announce it. And let's say rare comics and uncommon comics are still the absolute best thing to get. I still might wait because, to be honest, Veve has released information and articles that hasn't been 100% correct before the past. So even then, I still might wait a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of my plan for the Master Collector program for the most part. Again, the whole point is not to spread FUD or anything like that, but just look at it closely. When Veve says, oh, we're gonna just section a portion of the drops to Master Collector, you know, program or for raffle tickets, like how much is that? If it's 10%, okay, it might be worth it. But if it's 2%, 3%, that's a little bit on the low end. And especially if you can win multiple times. Now we're having whales winning most of the drops anyway. So it's like, all right, at that point, and still to this day, I would still rather invest. Even if Master Collector program did come out and it was amazing, and you know, there's a bunch of ways to win and there's a bunch of cool features, I would still rather just invest in NFTs, blue chips, grails, things that I think that are just going to perform better in the long run and just give me more money back, than invest in something that's just going to make my profile basically look better, have a chance at winning more drops, and maybe some of the rental features, which as of right now, there's pretty much no reason to kind of like, there's some niche features about renting stuff, but for the most part, I just don't see a really reason to rent a lot of NFTs. For the most part, unless you're trying to complete sets, but even then you don't get that many points for completing sets, so not entirely sure. So again, those are pretty much my thoughts on the Master Collector program. Again, not trying to spread FUD. I know it's a little bit more you know, quote unquote negative or critical compared to some other content creators, but again, I just a little bit afraid of spending a bunch of gems on a bunch of collectibles or comics, and then the next thing I know, the next iteration comes out and things are wildly different, or all of a sudden buying these certain collectibles or comics are going to give you more gems for the cost. That's just going to work out much better. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about the current Master Collector system. If there's anything I said that kind of resonated with you, or you think that I got wrong or incorrect or overlooked, please let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, double and triple check all your listings so you don't screw yourself over, and I'll catch you guys next time.